final of this really competitive 4.5 mixed division. And it is Scott, Mayo, and Maisie Wise at the top of your screens. They'll be playing two players that we haven't seen on the show court today, Lewis Oakey and Charlotte Pressley. They are incredibly strong competitors. Lewis Oakey regularly now. And just wide there, the ATP from Scott Mayo. But Lewis Oakey regularly getting to the latter stages of these 4.5 category events. Charlotte Pressley, the young protege of a certain Molly Nags as well. Spends a lot of time training and playing with Molly Nags. For those that don't know, the English Open singles gold medalist, the first English winner of the gold medal. Is a singles medalist, Molly Nags, gold medalist. So, Lewis Oakey, Charlotte Pressley. A great drop there from Scott Mayo.
Does feel this is experience versus youth, Tim. Experienced partnership of Mayo and Wise. And although I say youth, obviously they're very young as well, but
the ancient Scott Mayo, he was saying yesterday how he looks younger than he actually is. He's actually 52. He looks really good for his age, though.
If Scott Mayo is 52, I'm 105.
I didn't know this, Simon. You look fantastic.
No, what I mean is that Lewis Oakey and Charlotte Pressley are very young.
Yeah, still teenagers, I believe, both of them.
I thought so. Certainly Lewis is. And even...
Yeah, Maisie Wise and Scott Mayo. The second half of their 20s, I believe, both of them.
I spoke to Maisie just before this game, and she is dosed up to the eyeballs for painkillers, bless her.
And you'll probably find that most pickleball players, after 2 days' worth of full play, have got some form of drugs going through their veins. Painkillers, of course. Clean sport here in pickleball.
I'm glad you clarified that, Tim. The youth viewers there's no one smoking pot out the back.
And a fantastic point and a fantastic finish from Scott Mayo there. That will give him a lot of confidence. Although they played that point like they were on performance-enhancing drugs. Maybe some testings in order, Simon.
It's going to come sooner or later, isn't it, into the sport? At the moment, there's no testing at all in the US, but there will be at some point, I would have thought.
So, early stages. We're 2-1-2 and a very narrow lead. This final best of three. And Scott Mayo goes for it again. You can see his eyes widen. His feet were moving, but he slightly off balance. And not the best attempt at an ATP. But no doubt he'll try another 3 or 4 in this contest, Simon.
a real showman, Scott Mayo, and he loves the show court. And he loves to entertain as well. So he's desperate to get that ATP on the show court and on the stream as well.
So some really close exchanges early doors. Maisie Wise and Scott Mayo opening up a 2-point lead, 3-1-1. Who would you say, Simon, has the edge in this one?
A tricky one, isn't it? I think he's going to swing momentumly. I think at the moment you feel that Maisie and Scott might just have the upper hand in, say, experience and partnership and also games played. That being said, I don't know how the other games have gone throughout the group, so feels like Maisie and Scott have been pushed quite a lot. So I'm not sure if that's the case with Oki and Pressley. We'll just see how that plays out.
Yeah, and a good point there. Some assured play, putting the pressure on Charlotte Pressley. And a ripping forehand from Charlotte Pressley there, showing what she can do. Putting that missed forehand behind her and ripping one cross court, finding that angle. Maisie's down. Oh, and Scott's down. And a brilliant point there from both teams. Maisie Wise finding some reserves to adjust after that net cord, collapsing on the ground. Scott Mayo just unable to continue the rally. So a missed serve though. Charlotte Pressley gives them another opportunity. And a net cord, a tag, the chest of Scott Mayo brings them their second point.
Just feel like Oki and Pressley are just trying to overplay it a little bit. I think they probably feel the pressure a little bit more being in the final on the show court in front of cameras. Probably a new experience for them, whereas Maisie Wise and Scott Mayo are used to this. They played on the show court in some of their round robin matches and also played yesterday as well. So I think that might play into their favour possibly.
Yeah, we've got a lot of pickleball to play in this game still, Simon. This is going to get tiring. And Scott Mayo, I don't really know whether that was the right opportunity to play the tweener. And it sailed almost to Spain. Yeah, Lewis Oki, when he gets ahead in the rally, such a compact swing, generating effortless power, really hard to defend. And he does. Did I see that correctly, Simon? A bit of a no-look there, a bit of a fake out from Lewis Oki. He's feeling confident, bringing the scores back level. Although a missed serve.
Joy of youth that Lewis Oki played all. Well, he came in early yesterday morning to help set up. Played all day, then drove to Southampton to play some training games with some of the top players down there, and then was back here again for 8:30 this morning to help prepare the venue for the second day's competition. So if I could only do a tenth of that, I'd be happy. Oh. Great put away.
Brilliant point there. Maisie Wise with the put away. Some really good gets, though, from Charlotte Pressley and Lewis Oakey. But Maisie Wise and Scott Mayo coming out on top. And we're getting some really long points now. Both of these teams have warmed up into this encounter. Oh, and a brilliant point of the match so far. Probably one of the points of the day so far. 30 odd shots, I would say, in that one. Potentially more. Some patient play from both teams, but some brilliant resets as well. And in the end, Charlotte Pressley probably just slightly overplaying that backhand. But there's got to be a bit of tiredness creeping in when you've been playing a point as long as that, Simon.
Yeah, that's mental fatigue, isn't it? She's got the shot in her locker. It's just when the ball keeps coming back and keeps coming back, you're like, what else can I do? And you feel a bit of pressure. And again, Scott's targeting that double-handed forehand. Yeah, netted again.
Scott Mayo there just showing the skill that he's developed with that backhand slice dink. Getting a nice bit of action, some backspin on that, and making it difficult for Charlotte Pressley. Get that one back. And finding some success, Maisie Wise and Scott Mayo, on the backhand side of Charlotte Pressley in these last couple of points. Opening up a 3-point lead.
I feel like the momentum swung in their favour. Oh, as soon as they say it, they serve long. How many times? Just get the ball in. You don't have to win it on a serve. Complete stop of momentum.
Yeah, good play there from Charlotte Pressley. Scott Mayo was dominating the court. He was looking to play with power, and they were able to redirect that power right back at him. Just a bit of a snatch at that forehand. Lewis Oakey looking to win it.
Felt a bit of frustration keeping in there. Him doing thing, just trying to win a point on a quick forehand.
Yeah,
They'll
but
be
again,
frustrated with that and a 0 score on a side out.
yeah, and that backhand from Pressley just breaking down again. But finding good depth with that overhead, Lewis Oakey. That was a really difficult one to defend. And sometimes getting it deep with that overhead, having to make them hit a half volley with power is a successful play. So they get a no-scoring side out. Another couple of opportunities to add to their score. Yeah, really good play. Court dominance from Lewis Oakey, seeing the opportunity. Just that slight pop-up, moving forward nimbly to that kitchen line and really powering it down at Scott Mayo. Scott Mayo doing well to retrieve the first one, but no chance with the second.
He's a nice player to watch, Lewis Oakey. His movement is great and his balance is fantastic. You never see him off balance at all when he's hitting the ball.
And Charlotte Pressley just found herself a bit tied up there. A good shot from Maisie Wise, switching it up from backhand to down the line and Pressley just unable to react quick enough, and she misses a forehand as well on that next point. The sweat from these guys, they're wiping their hands on pretty much anything they can get a hold of. Might have to disinfect the barriers before we take them apart later this evening.
This venue is very warm, I tell you. So we're just sat here and we are very warm, just sat doing nothing, moving around the court like these guys do. I'm not surprised they are sweating.
Yeah, warm conditions here.
Oh, unlucky Lewis Oki.
Just enough power on that one, Simon, from Scott Mayo. Yeah, really nice angle there found by Maisie Wise. And that brings up the first game point.
Maisie taking a deep breath there. Really important when you're playing these game points to make sure you're set and ready to go. Fortunately, that hasn't gone their way. So that's one match point saved by Oki and Pressley.
Just a bit unfortunate there. And we're at 6-10-1. So this first game, Simon, not over just yet.
No, and as we said before, the pressure is slightly on Maisie Wise and Scott Mayo now because they had match point. Oki and Pressley haven't really got much to lose now. Keep chipping away point by point, and suddenly they've got the momentum swing, and the pressure builds on Mayo and Wise.
And would you believe it? A confused look there from Maisie Wise, whether that got a dodgy bounce. 8-10-1, the deficit reduced again. And this really is anyone's game. And a missed return from Scott Mayo.
That was
Hold on to your seats, folks. Just didn't creep over from Lewis Oki. A second opportunity, though. And I think both teams, Simon, will be feeling a little bit nervous. Wanting to get this first game. A brilliant change of direction, though, from Scott Mayo. Managing to keep his wits about him, redirecting that overhead. Lewis Oki got there, but just unable to get it over. So we are another first game point for the first game. But Maisie Wise just leaving that ball a little bit high. Charlotte Pressley popping it away.
Third match point. Let's see if they can convert this one. Sorry, game. Sorry, guys. I meant game point, not match point.
Oh, Maisie Wise. What a shot. That is one for the highlight reel. I can guarantee you. She is looking incredibly pumped. I don't know if I've seen Maisie as pumped after hitting that stunning forehand. She's rubbing her thigh. I think that took it out of her going for that forehand. But when it gets you the first game, as it did for her, I don't think she'll be too disappointed. She can take that momentum forward into that second game, and that one got incredibly tight towards the end, Simon.
Oh, that was tense. I sound tense watching it, so I wouldn't want to play in that. Maisie's problem is the back, apparently. She's got a slight nerve something in her back that then affects her knee, so I really want the drugs that she's taking, because she's made a miraculous recovery from yesterday where she could barely walk. To be able to cover the court like that and make the ball in, carrying an injury, is pretty impressive. This is hotting up to be some special final, Tim.
So both teams, Simon, just taking a quick timeout. Both absolutely sweating buckets in this heat. Scott Mayo just saying he will be getting some electrolytes back in his body. No doubt Maisie will as well. After that stunning get from her.
Do you think different could Oki and Pressley play then, Tim? What, can they employ a different strategy, do you think, or carry on as they are? They weren't far off that game, were they?
Yeah. It was an incredibly close one, Simon. And it felt like they'd found the right strategy. Scott Mayo and Maisie Wise. And I do wonder, though, as well, a lot of effort has been put into winning that first game. If Oki and Pressley can get a quick start in this second one, whether they can get some momentum behind them, but Oki will want that forehand back, a missed forehand. He made the right move but didn't execute, and that's a missed backhand, which gives another easy point to Mayo and Wise. Wise just taking a deep breath before the serve. Just a missed dink there from Mayo.
Yeah, nervous early exchanges, I think, Tim. That winning that first game must have been a massive adrenaline rush, and then to have a small break and to come back on. He's still feeling that's a great put away by Lewis Oki. Feeling the effects of that first game. About taking a deep breath and thinking about the next game as a separate game almost.
Yeah, that's the great thing about these best of three matches. Lose the first one, if you can reset, you have every chance of coming back. And a yell from Scott Mayo. I was there, man. He was there, but it was a tough shot. Lewis Oki was a bit relentless on that forehand side. Oh, and speaking of relentless, Simon, a smash from Mayo and a smash from Wise.
Oh, missed serve. At this level, you can't afford to do that, Tim.
No, and we've seen a few missed serves, and two or three, I think, from Charlotte Pressley, perhaps showing just a tiny bit of inexperience. Young players here, incredibly skillful. And that's unfortunate, to say the least. When you've got tired legs, you get a neck cord like that. Mayo just, Wise just sits down after it. I'd like to see Oki and Pressley just really tighten up. Some of those early misses are costing them. Really want to see them force Mayo and Wise into some really really long rallies.
You feel that they are trying to win the game too quickly now, Oki and Pressley. Pressure's on them to win the second game. But they've got to just keep putting the ball back into play rather than trying to win. That's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, and that's a good dominance at the net, keeping Wise and Mayo back, and just a little hobble there from Maisie Wise as she returns to the net. I do wonder, after the theatrics of yesterday, Simon, and the cramping that we saw from Tracy Matthews in that final, whether that's going to be a factor today as well. Have to keep a close eye. Maisie Wise will have to make sure that she's continuing to get some electrolytes in her. But another early miss there from Lewis Oki. And the frustration, I feel, is really radiating from those two. Mayo and Wise take a 3-1 lead.
I think they're trying to look for a winner, and they didn't need to look for that. Just get to keep the ball back in play, and hopefully that happens where you make a mistake. Now, unfortunately, that will be in the highlight reel, Tim, won't it? We'll play some sad music.
Oh, I can't wait to cut that one up. That's going to be a beauty.
And I'm sure
I can see it now. It's all planned out in my head. Sorry, Scott.
It could be the hound dog, couldn't it? Praying a Pressley, making a terrible mistake in the cutting with a hound dog, maybe?
The possibilities are endless. And that one just being called out by Wise. And you just feel that they're not getting much luck, Lewis Oki and Charlotte Pressley. Some of these balls that perhaps in other games would be clipping the line are just going out. And that barrier is taking a real beating. It will be sopping wet by the time it comes to deconstruct it.
Interesting, isn't it? I would have a towel on court, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So you think they'd have them on the barriers to wipe yourself off with? Noticed yesterday that Foster and Matthews were constantly wiping themselves down. They had the towels or whatever on court with them.
I think it's a smart idea in this heat. I think sometimes it's just difficult to remember everything that you've got to bring. But it's every point now they're going to remove the sweat from their hands. I know one of our players from Exeter, Martin Ruth, plays with a golfing glove to avoid the sweat and the impact that has on the paddle. But then again, he is a professional golfer, so...
I used to play squash with a guy who wore a glove. It was the weirdest thing. It's like, what are you wearing a glove for? Oh, what, sweaty hands? Okay. Yeah, odd.
Yeah, Maisie Wise just mistiming that shot. And I do wonder if that was a little bit of fatigue coming into play, not moving 100% that we would normally see from Maisie Wise.
I think that's what Oki and Pressley have got to do. Just keep the ball in play, force another return from either Mayo or Wise.
Yes, and that is a really good finish. And I do wonder if they can use that, Simon, as a platform to reduce this deficit further. 3-5 now. pressure.
Feels like
The pressure is showing. Both teams really dialed in, wanting this. Oh, and that one probably would sail over if the rafters weren't in the way, but it did catch the rafters. And I have to say, Simon, Maisie Wise there, after missing a shot, normally you get a smile from Maisie if she catches your eye. She was looking focused.
She was looking scary, Tim.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I would not want to cross Maisie Wise with a look like that.
And it shows what this final means to both teams here.
I'm tempted to go and get a towel for them, Tim.
I think you probably need about 15 towels. Go back to the hotel. So a really strong comeback from Oki and Pressley in this second game. They've tightened things up and they're hitting now. Forehands that were going out before are now sailing in. And they've opened up a 2-point lead in this second game. And a missed return from Maisie Wise, and she stumbles over her own feet. And you can see here the fatigue. And this is what we didn't want to happen, Simon, as we had yesterday, with fatigue playing a real role in that final.
That'll be a real shame for Maisie to have to stop. She's definitely not 100%. Maybe the drugs are starting to wear off. Maybe the movement around the court is causing it to aggravate the injury. She's got a smile back at least. That's nice to see, Tim.
That's something. And that one just going wide from Mayo. And they will both, I mean, all partners here, all players on court, Simon, will be so exhausted now. It's so difficult to keep your focus and play at high intensity. I've no doubt that Wise and Mayo will be desperate to win this match in two rather than have it go to a third. Pressley and Oki, the younger partners, looking fresher. Brilliant point there, Simon. The pressure from Charlotte Pressley and Lewis Oki there. That backhand from Charlotte Pressley, double-handed, really. It looks completely different from the start of this match. She's absolutely nailing the angles now.
Absolutely, and that was a fantastic point. And I'm with you, Tim. I think Mayo and Wise will want to win this in two. I think a third game, I would fancy Oki and Pressley coming through that. I think you're right. They are slightly fresher. They're not carrying any injuries. Having said that, they now go through a non-scoring side out, which they'll be disappointed in.
Yeah, and that hobble from Maisie Wise is getting more prominent. And it's a worrying sign for her.
I think we had this commentary a couple of weeks ago. It's in Basingstoke with James Lofthouse, in that although you feel guilty for it, you've got to go for the weaker player, the one that's struggling.
James Lofthouse, of course, we saw yesterday administering medical support to Tracy Matthews when she was cramping. He's a multi-talented guy. And Scott Mayo is pumped. He's trying to raise the spirits of his partner. And like the final yesterday, Simon, this is feeling like it's turning into a boxing match. Both teams taking lumps out of each other.
Yeah, and Charlotte targeting Maisie. Oh, you see, that is painful to watch, bless her. But she's the weaker player at the moment, and she is going to be targeted, and that, unfortunately, is the name of the game.
It is 8-8-2. It's so close. Nine 8-2, and that ball needing a passport, but Charlotte Pressley hitting it anyway, and that's an easy point to give away.
She knows that as well. You can see the horror in her face when she realised what she'd done.
And here we have a match point with Maisie Wise almost unable to move to the back of the court. We're at 10-8-2. 1 point, Simon, to take it.
Scott trying to play singles almost, bless him, trying to cover as much court as possible to stop Maisie moving. It's great defence. Oh, no.
And there it is. Maisie Wise falls to the floor in both celebration and absolute exhaustion.